Welcome back to Become a Calm Mama. I'm your host. I'm Marilyn Childress. I'm a life and parenting coach. And today on the podcast, I want to talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions or goals or vision planning and talk about my process that I've gone through to prepare myself for 2025 and then invite you to take part and do some inner work for yourself so that you feel really clear about where you're going in 2025 and what you want to work on. And I want to take a slightly different approach to goal setting this year and invite us to think about our life from a place of fullness, from a place of wholeness, from health, from complete, from great, from excellent, from not perfect, but like good enough, and approach our goals from a place of like, I could change nothing and it would be just fine. Like, I think that a lot of times goal setting is really fueled from like that there's something wrong. And I was even thinking about the word resolution. And if you break it down, it's like resolution. And that inherently means that there's a problem that you're solving. So we come to the next year as like, oh, this year was such a disaster and I've got to do better, be better, get more, have more, improve, change. And that isn't necessarily the place that we want to be coming from in order to achieve the most love for ourselves, really. And if we come to our goals and to our life from a place of not being enough or not being good enough, and we're mean to ourselves and we let our inner critic tell us what to do and dictate our dreams and visions, then that is going to feel really negative and mean. And so I want to invite you to think about your life from a place of gratitude and having perspective of hope and satisfaction and contentment. Now, even if you have things that are really hard and really you've struggled with and you're struggling with now, we aren't going to ignore those things, but I want you to spend time thinking about where things have gone right. Now, the process that I used this year to set my goals is a little bit new for me. This past year on the podcast, I invited Amelia Knott, who's an art therapist, to come talk to us about bringing more art and creativity into our life. And I loved that interview so much. And I joined her group. Like, she has a coaching group program called the Anti-Hustle Art Studio. And I really have just enjoyed learning from her. And she put together a really beautiful guide called, let me get it right, Reimagining Resolutions, using creativity to envision the year ahead without the hustle. I asked Amelia if she would give our community access to this beautiful workbook, and she said yes. And so if you are part of my email list, you would have gotten that in your email when this episode came out, so go check that out. And if not, there'll be a link in the podcast show notes, or you can just reach out to me on Instagram and I'll make sure you get a copy of this. But this is a lot of this that I did that I'm going to talk about in this episode is from Amelia's workbook. So I highly recommend you get your copy of it. The question in Amelia's workbook, Reimagining Resolutions, that really stopped me in my tracks, that really forced me to spend time to think about my visioning and goal setting for 2025 from a different perspective was this. She asked, what about your life doesn't need to improve or change? And I opened up the workbook, and that was the first question. She has some opening lines in it, but then that was the first kind of journal prompt question to answer. And immediately I was like dumbfounded. I realized I don't come to my goals from a place of like what I talked about in the beginning of the episode, like from this place of enoughness, I usually come from where are the gaps, where's the problems, where's the things that are going wrong, what it needs to be fixed, fix it, change it, stop it, solve it. I come from like a kind of a manager type of place where it's like, let's find out all the problems in this system and let's, address those problems. And instead, I was forced to question what about my life doesn't need to improve or change. And to be honest, it took me a couple of days to get back to this question. I kind of read it and then I felt myself push against it. I was like, ooh, I don't want to think about that. I want to think about like, ooh, the improvement plan, the 10-step improvement plan and all the things I'm going to do to fix it and get better. And instead, I'm being invited and I'm inviting you to think about where in your life is okay. What is going well? She goes on to talk about in the workbook, what are you proud of from this past year? What challenged you? What did you overcome? What was fun? What felt easy? What was boring? Maybe that can give you an insight to maybe what you want to change. Was there conflict? Was there connection? And I went through this process and really found a lot of hope and healing from reflecting on my year in a positive way. When I was asked, what about my life doesn't need to improve or change? I then went in and did some categories of where my life is going well. And I thought about my health. And I know I've talked about on this podcast a lot about my body dysmorphia and struggles around eating and taking care of my body. And I actually looked at my health as a thing of itself, not necessarily my physical body and what it looked like, but like my actual systems in my inside of my body, not the outside of my body, but inside. And I realized that I'm really strong and I'm really healthy and that I've done a good job this past couple of years of focusing on my health and going to the doctor and taking care of things that are quote unquote wrong or that need improvement. I got a foot surgery. I've taken care of my hormones as I've aged. I've gone to the dermatologist. Like I've done a few things that are really helpful to make sure that my systems are all working well. I've gone to the dentist and I've gone to the eye doctor and I, do all of these things and I take care of my body. I exercise most days and I really am strong and healthy. That alone was so powerful for me to look at what is going well and find that my body is going well. Because usually I'm like, oh, I got to lose 10 pounds. I got to get stronger. I got to go to the gym more. I got to not eat sugar. I got to not eat flour, all the rules. And when I thought about what is okay, what's going well, and I discovered that I'm really healthy and strong and that I've been taking really excellent care of myself, it made me really happy. Other areas that usually I kind of look at as problems, like my business, right? This thing that I do, this program that I teach, the Calm Mama coaching program. It's very easy for me to wish it was bigger, to expand it, to reach more people, to grow, to have more influence, not for me, but for the community, right? To have a bigger impact on the world. And I can look at where I'm at compared to where I think the potential is. And I can get really discouraged and think, I'm so far from where I want to be. And I can get upset. But instead, I force myself to look at what's going well in this business, what's going well in this program that I teach. And I realized that the Calm Mama Club is amazing, that I worked at it a lot this past year and made it a really wonderful program. And the women that are in that program are getting so much out of it. And it made me really happy. I think about this podcast and how many of you listen to episodes and share episodes and go back to episodes. And that some of you, this is one of your coping strategies, is listening to different episodes and getting advice and getting ideas and getting hope and getting soothed and all of those things. I made some changes to my business at the beginning of the year that really helped create a better life balance for me, work-life balance. And that took some time. And so instead of looking at the problem, I'm looking at where I am in a solution already. Same for my home. Looking at my home and finding it to be beautiful and wonderful and really satisfied, like the different spaces that I've created in our family, in our home for sleep, for play, for art, for connection, for community. And I just was like, wow, I love my home. these are areas like my clothes, my marriage, my friendships, like my business, my body. These are areas that usually I feel frustrated about. And asking myself, what about my life doesn't need to improve or change, gave me this insight into where things are going so well. And then asking myself, what am I proud of? And I had this beautiful list of things that I navigated this past year that I am really proud of. This past year was kind of a big deal. My youngest son graduated from high school and I launched both kids into college. They live away and I became somewhat of an empty nester, right? A roomier nester. That was a big deal. My husband navigated almost 9 months of being unemployed this past year. I didn't talk about it because it's not something I would normally share on the podcast, but it was a challenging year for him in his career and a lot of uncertainty. And we navigated that as a couple really beautifully and as a family. Going to Paris with Sawyer obviously was a huge fun thing that we did. Like I said, what challenged me, some of these changes, this uncertainty. Then another question that Amelia has in her workbook is, what was fun? What was fun this year? Think about what did you do that was great? What did you love? What was easy? What was fun and easy? And I really tried to give myself specific moments of time that were like really little, almost vignettes of fun and joy and ease that I experienced this past year, and invited myself to reflect on those and to think about them. And that was really, really fun. And then what was boring, or where was there conflict? Looking at that and kind of going, oh, okay, so some of these parts of my life, maybe I might want to improve or not. I don't know. I don't have to. I just taking a look at where am I feeling unsettled, or where am I feeling a little bit of disconnection, or where is there some conflict in my life, making decisions from that place. In her workbook, I'm just kind of walking you through this part of it. She has you then go into a lot of kindness, self-compassion. So you do this reflection. That's where you start. You start in this reflective place, but looking at where things went well from the positive space of reflection. Then going into saying something kind to yourself and being kind to yourself, and finding out like what brings you joy, making a quick list of 10 things that bring you joy. So think about it. What are things that bring you joy in your life? I have hiking, completing a workout, reading, learning something new, talking to a friend, baking something new, working on a puzzle, coaching moms, getting lost in a TV show or a movie, being at the beach, and planning a trip. I like being on vacation, but I also like thinking about vacation. I like thinking about places that I'm going to go and imagining being there. I like being there, of course, but the anticipation is often more satisfying to me and more fun and more joyful than the actual being there, which, both are great. Then another question is, what are easy, fun, and pleasurable experiences you would like to have this year? Maybe you've already had them. Maybe you already have them in your life regularly. That's fine. Do you want to do more of that, or keep doing it? Not even more, just keep doing it. So I wrote that I wanted to have weekend getaways with girlfriends. I wanted to have a weekend getaway with Kevin. I wanted to do a summer trip with my kids, do a puzzle a month, do a new piece of watercolor or art a month, hike with a new friend, go out on dinners, a couple dates, like dates with other people, go on the trip of a lifetime. We are doing that. We're going on a safari in September, doing hard workouts, and then the experience of not buying. So this is one of my personal goals this year. My theme for this year is consume less, create more. So I'm embarking on a year of buying less. And when I buy something, it's going to be intentional and with the goal of only buying it one time, like buy once or buy for life. So really researching and making a decision not based on something that I can get quick and easy and cheap, but instead thinking about what will last. If I was only going to buy this thing like this couch or this pillow or this new jacket or outdoor furniture or a notebook. I don't know. Some of those things are consumable. But if I was only going to buy it one time for the rest of my life, what would I purchase? So really being thoughtful and thinking about what I'm buying and trying to be as sustainable as possible and not just get stuff that's trendy or fashionable, like in your home or your clothing or makeup colors or any of those things. I just kind of want to move away from consumeristic lifestyle and become more of a creator of my life instead of a consumer of things. So that's my theme. There's no reason for it to be yours at all, but it is nice for you to start thinking about who you are becoming and what your values are and whether your goals reflect your values. What is it that you're chasing this year? So another question is to brainstorm words or phrases that describe how you would like to feel in 2025. That's another prompt from Amelia's workbook. How do you want to feel? What's a word or a phrase? So when I did that exercise, I came up with free, full, fun, satisfied, joy, peace, and content. So these were some of the words that I was chasing, or these phrases and these feelings that I'm chasing this year. Kind of exploring, how do I know when I'm feeling free? How do I know when I'm feeling full? How do I know when I'm feeling joy? And trying to picture what that feeling feels like in my body, or what usually is happening in my surroundings, or who am I with, or what are the circumstances that help facilitate those feelings of freedom, feeling full like as in contentment, and feeling joy. And I wrote, I know I'm feeling joy when my cheeks hurt, when my body feels light, when I'm energized, when my chest feels radiant. I know I'm feeling full when I have a fullness in my belly deep within and my brain is silent and still. I know I'm feeling free when I'm not overthinking, overplanning, overlearning, over-researching, over-consuming. And then I decided just to take the word over out and realized I know I'm feeling free when I'm not thinking, planning, learning, researching, restricting, and purchasing. So these are some of the things that you are invited to reflect on before you set up your goals. I think of all of these as creating, like before you garden, before you plant any seeds, how you have to go and address the soil, how you have to amend it, have you make sure there's enough ingredients in the soil. I don't know anything about gardening really, but that the soil's good and that you have enough space to grow what you want to grow, that you're got a plan for your garden a little bit, that you're ready for it. And that's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about going back and reflecting on 2024 from a positive place. What's going well? What feels good? What worked? What do you want more of? What did you love about this year? How can you create even more experiences like that? That is sort of the soil that I want you to be looking at this year from. Then when you get into the kind of visioning or goal setting, I then switched gears personally and I started to use my Danielle Laporte. She has a planner. She used to do it. It's called the Heart-Centered Planner. And I bought it for years and then she stopped making it and then she made it again this year. So I was really excited because I love this planner. I'll link it in the show notes. What I love about this planner is there's a lot of places in the planner it's like a weekly planner that you can plan your life out and make your to-do lists and all that stuff on it. But what I like about it is that there's also places for reflection, for meditation, for thinking, for evaluating and reflecting. So she has a way to set a vision or way to create goals based on life areas. So what I did was I looked at her life areas. I'm going to walk you through them and thought to myself, first, is this a life area I want to focus on this year or right now in my life? Because I believe deeply that we don't need to be working on everything, all the things all at once. It's not possible. And it's not actually respectful of your nervous system or your brain or your thoughts or anything like that. I think it's helpful to think about one or two areas of your life and kind of double down on those. Last year, my theme was internalized security. So I was really working on my mind and my emotions because my goal was to get rid of anxiety, like ruminating anxiety, the ways that I overthink and overplan and overprocess. I realized that I did that because I didn't feel safe inside of myself. So this past year, I worked a lot on creating internalized security, internalized safety, so that I didn't have to work so hard to get back to calm, to like work through my anxious thoughts. I tried to get rid of them in the first place, which is not possible for the record. But the more kind I was to myself and the slower I was when I was feeling anxious, and I just stopped and like reassured myself that I'm safe, that things are okay, that I can figure it out. I didn't have to go into my strategies of coping. I could kind of settle the ship a little bit faster, which was great. So the life area of mind and emotions is your thoughts, your speech, your actions, and your feelings. So my pattern for my life had been to feel anxious about something because I couldn't control it because it was uncertain. For example, Kevin not working, something like that. That would make me feel really anxious. So then I would start to over control, over plan, over organize in another area of my life in order to cope or soothe with that insecurity. So like if I have financial insecurity that I can't really do anything about, or, my brain says I can't, then I feel really anxious. So I can't solve that. So I go over, I create a new problem, and then I try to solve that problem. Like, oh my gosh, I have to get rid of sugar because my joints hurt and And like I create a whole plan of control and restriction and all of that in one area of my life. That's my pattern. I'm not saying that those behaviors are necessarily wrong, but what I was trying to learn for myself is, what if I didn't use those strategies? What if I didn't have to go create rules and restriction and new plans and overproductivity and over managing in one area of my life to soothe another area of my life? What if I didn't have to do those actions to calm my emotions? That's what I explored last year. So mind and emotions is something that maybe you want to explore this year. Maybe you want to think about how you think and feel and act. That's a lot about what life coaching is and what it's for. And I'm here for that. I'm here to help you with your mind and your emotions. It's one of the main things I do in my work. So you can think about if you want to work on that life area. Some of the other life areas are spirit, which is really your prayers, your rituals, breath work, meditation, journaling, reflection, kind of that inner work of feeling safe and connected to something spiritual for you. Third area, body, like nutrition, movement, rest, supplements, medicine, sex, sensuality, healing modalities. Maybe you want to take this year and focus on your body and focus on your nutrition or your rest or your, a couple of years ago, I really focused on my hormones and really took a lot of interest and intention around getting a handle on what was going on with my body as I'm aging. And I'm really glad I did that. I'm really glad I spent time doing that. For me, most of the years of my life, my body has been a focus, especially in the new year. But it always comes from a place of fear and self-loathing and negativity. I'd love for you to come to your body from a place of what's working well, where are you strong, where are you feeling good, and then what would you like to improve? Would you like to improve your nutrition? Would you like to improve your movement? And be really gentle with your goals and with your thoughts about it. Instead of thinking, what can I lose? I'd love for you to think about, what can I gain? I can gain healthier habits. I can gain more movement. I can create more health. So instead of thinking about what you can lose, what can you gain? Relationships. That's the fourth area. That could be a relationship with yourself, with your inner child, your marriage, your parenting, extended family, animals, work, community, service, the world. Thinking about do you want to work on relationships? Is this the year that you want to focus on your marriage? Is this the year you want to focus on your parenting? If it is, join the Calm Mama Club. This is the year for you that you want to actually work on yourself so that you don't show up as the mean mom or stressed parent or anxious mom or, overwhelmed. Your kid's behavior is overwhelming for you. If this is the year you want to work on your mind and your emotions and your parenting, that's great. That's a life area that I have worked on for years and years. That's, not something present for me right now because I did that work and I feel good about what I did in the past. And I did commit to working on it. I was thinking about the word resolution. It's like resolution or resolute, like a commitment when you're resolved to finally address something and get it done. And that requires commitment. It requires resolve. So if this is the year you were like, I'm done yelling at my kids, I'm done being permissive, I'm done giving into them or feeling overwhelmed by parenting every day, then commit and connect with me. The other relationships are livelihood. So that's your work, your finances, your service, leadership, education. Is this the year you want to go back to work or focus on your career? Go back to school, use your education for something. You don't have to, but if it's inside of you, if it's a goal, you can have that. You can create that. You can create meaning outside of your family and have a purpose around your livelihood. Play is the next one. Play. I really focused the second half of the year on creativity, hobbies, travel, interests, and I'm going to bring more of that into my life this year. That's why I invited Amelia originally onto the podcast, because I wanted to bring more art and creativity into my life and into your lives and offer that to you. And so play, what does play mean to you? How can you bring more of it into your life? And thinking about that. Then the last area is space and things. And so that can be your home, your workspace, your material things, and your belongings. I started to say something about this early on, but this is an area that I am working on, not so much as improving my space. I feel like I have done a lot to improve my space, and I have a lot of belongings, and I want to be satisfied with the belongings I have. I want to be satisfied with the space I have, with the clothing I have, with what I currently own, and be content with it and not pursue consuming more. So my relationship with space and things right now is consuming less and appreciating more of what I've already created, what I've already consumed. And it's been an interesting exploration for me. So this is a big area of my life this year that I'm exploring. And I'm sure I'll bring it up in the podcast over time. I wrote about this. I said, I want to change my relationship to stuff. I want to purchase less, and I want to own things that are beautiful, well-made, purposeful, long-lasting, personally enriching, and thoughtful. I want to use what I have and only add new things with intention, research, and planning. I want to get out of short-term shopping and impulse buying. I want to not use retail therapy for soothing. So that's what I'm working on this year. These are the things that I've decided. Then what I did after I explored these life areas, see where it's working, where it's not, then I made a little bit of an action steps for myself. Like, what am I actually doing this year? And I don't know if I want to share them, but here's a couple. Intentionally choose play every day. So that's consume less, create more. be a thoughtful purchaser, take excellent care of my body with a balanced, nutritious diet and daily movement with strengthening, be kind and outgoing. One of my goals is to create a new friendship, a new couple friend for my husband and I to hang out with that live close to us. So that's something I'm just waiting for that friend to come. So I want to be more open to that. I want to enjoy the friends I have, make room for new ones. And I personally decided I want to meditate and visualize more this year to bring that more of that spirit area into my life, picking a couple of meditative gurus or leaders or thought leaders that I want to spend time with this next year. So that's where I'm at. Those are my goals. My theme for this year is consume less, create more. And I'm going to be really gentle and loving with myself and create more play, more rest, more intentionality around work, around friendships. Yeah, just kind of explore a little bit more about who I am in this period of my life with my kids away at college and see what happens. And I want to invite you this year to see what happens. You know, you don't have to come at the new year from a place of, my life is a disaster and my kids are a mess and my house is a mess and my relationship with my husband or my wife is a mess and I'm, so unhappy and my parents are sick and I'm not a good daughter. And you don't have to do any of that. You can be like, I'm kicking ass. I'm doing great. Here's all the evidence of that. Find evidence, write a list of what you're proud of, what you've overcome, what's going well, and then decide, how do you want to take excellent care of yourself this year? From the framework of I'm worthy, I'm lovable, I'm deserving, what would you like to create more of for yourself? Do you want better relationships? Do you want more health? Do you want more wealth? Do you want more peace? Do you want more ease? Make those your goals and then be resolute about it. Resolve to prioritize yourself and create more of what you want and what you love. If you need any help with any of this, please reach out. You can, if you're on the email list, just reply to the email that you received and I can schedule a consultation with you. If someone sent this to you, you can follow me at Darlene Childress on Instagram or go to calmmamacoaching.com. There's some free resources on there and just connect with me and start, getting signed up to the weekly emails and learn more. I wish you all just the most beautiful 2025, and I thank you so much for listening to this podcast and for being such a huge part of my life, even though I don't get to see you or talk to you, most of you. You mean a lot to me, and I think about you all week long when I'm thinking about what episode I'm going to record and what you might need to hear. So I'm wishing you just the most beautiful 2025, and I will talk to you next time. Hey mama, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, I want to encourage you to do two things. The first is go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and get a copy of the Stop Yelling cheat sheet. You'll get a step-by-step breakdown of the most important tool I teach, which is the pause break. And you'll also get 40 ideas to reset your body and balance your nervous system so you don't have to yell at your kids. You can get a copy of that, again, at my website, calmmamacoaching.com/stop yelling. The other thing I'd love for you to do is go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast so that other moms can discover empowering and helpful, practical parenting strategies, just like you did today. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to be in your ear every week and to support you on your parenting journey.